All right. Hi, everyone. This is Gilberto from Maverick Media Lab, and I'm here with Ryan Dotto. He is 2 months into our program and already seeing appointments rolling in with realtors. And he's going to be talking today on this interview about his experience with Maverick Media Lab. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Hi, you're welcome.
Really appreciate your time, man. So just like real quick, just introduce yourself to like the audience, the mortgage broker who might be listening to this right now. Tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are.
My name is Ryan Dotto. Been in the business for 7 years or so, stretched out over some time. I was in the mortgage industry in the early 2000s through the crash of '08, and then recently got back into it in the last year and a half, and worked for Caliber Home Loans and here in the Puget Sound market in Tacoma, Washington.
Nice. And talk to us a little bit about, before you started working with us, like what did you find were like the biggest bottlenecks when it came to getting referral partners and like growing your business? Like what were like the main things that you would say that you were struggling with?
Yeah, I think like a lot of loan officers, getting real estate brokers to refer you business is kind of the holy grail of what we're trying to do as far as referral partners go. You know, it's a piece of the builders, insurance agents, financial planners, real estate brokers puzzle, but it's probably the biggest and most valuable because that's where, you know, people are obviously they're buying homes and they're generally showing up to a real estate professional first and then looking for a loan officer after. So getting the referral partnerships kind of solidified is a huge thing. And you know, a good referral partner maybe gives you a deal a quarter or a couple deals a quarter. And you know, as we all know, it's going to take more than that to make a career out of this. So you know, you need to rack up 15 or 20 good referral partners, and that takes time, and it takes reaching out, and it takes all those things that maybe we don't have time for. So what I was looking for was somebody to do that part for me, and that's how I came across you guys.
So the main problem was more so it sounded like a time thing, right? Like it wasn't really that we had like the time to go out there and do like enough volume of outreach to be able to meet with the agents to be able to get enough deals coming in, right? Was that the main thing, or were there also like other things too?
Yeah, no, I would say time is probably the biggest thing because you know you know, you can carve out and you should carve out time to cold call agents and that sort of thing, but not everybody is, especially if you're a newer loan officer, you're not as polished with whatever your spiel is going to be speaking with a referral partner. You know, and I mean, I guess if you made these calls over and over and over again, you're going to get better and better. But you're also trying to work on the business that you currently have, and you know, handle whatever other things you got going. And so it's really nice to be able to sit and work on a pre-approval or working on your current deals, and know that this is going on in the background. So yeah, not having to spend that time, spending those really hours and hours a week on the phone, making phone calls, and you know, getting a bunch of no's, which is what you get when you do cold calling, can be kind of a beat down, right? And so, so it's nice to have somebody else take the beat down.
100%. Yeah, I find that to be true with like other clients that they've said a similar thing. Like they're very conscious of how they're spending their time, so that they're not like fully just working like in the business, like doing the busy work, but they also have like, whether it's them or someone else, they have like those income producing activities going out, whether it's them or someone in the background. So that they're meeting with those agents as frequently as possible. Yeah. And I know for when you initially got on the call with us, I know your experience before in the past, like you had been burned in before, and you're a little bit more hesitant to get started with us. So talk to us a little bit more about that, like kind of like the initial, like when you initially like talked to us, and then after what happened, like now that we're 2 months in, what's your experience now?
Well, I was really hesitant and really skeptical. You know, for every loan officer out there who's got a public email, you know, gets probably 2 or 3 emails a week from people, you know, selling leads or this or that, and you don't, honestly, it's really hard to know where to go and where to spend your money, and even though, a couple $1,000 can be a drop in the bucket to some people, maybe it's a lot for other people. And regardless of whether you got a lot of money or not, nobody wants to waste it. And so, so it seems like every opportunity for leads or, somebody to do marketing for you is easily $1,000, if not $3,000 or $5,000 or whatever. And so it's a big chunk to put down on something that you have no idea whether it's good or not. And so I was very skeptical, and I honestly, I put you and Nate through the ringer probably, and was probably more of a jerk than I normally am. But really, when it boiled down to it, 2 months in, you guys have 100% delivered on what you said you would do. I get more. I just, in talking earlier, described it as like a fire hose. I actually had to neck down how many calls I was getting referred to me every week, because I wanted to make sure I gave the people that I connected with the proper care and nurturing that a new relationship needs. And so I would say you guys have almost over delivered on what you promised, and that's all anybody wants, I think, when they spend a bunch of money on something, is that they get exactly what they paid for. And so
Yeah.
that's what I've gotten so far.
The most important part. I love that, man. I love that you're seeing the results as well, like that you're seeing those appointments coming in. One thing I was curious about, because you mentioned something interesting, which is I think a lot of our audience can like resonate with this. Whoever's watching this now, who probably has already talked to us or about to talk to us, that they've gotten a bunch of marketing emails, like probably for leads or other stuff, websites, SEO, whatever it might be. Like, what was it about like what we have to offer that made you, take that leap of faith, as compared to moving forward with like a lead thing or something else that might show up on your inbox?
Well, I have some sources for leads already. And so what I really wanted to do was is multiply my lead referral partners. Have several, but as I said before, a good partner, sometimes you'll have an amazing partner and they're going to kick you 10 deals a year. But for the most part, a good partner is worth, maybe a deal a month tops, probably more like a deal every 2 or 3 months. And so you just need to have a bunch of them. And, I wasn't getting enough fast enough. And so I wanted to ramp up how fast that process happened. And I think, I don't know what actually, I couldn't recall what stood out on the communication I got from you guys on doing business with you, but it fit the bill of what I was looking for. And then, just talking to Nate, I told you in another conversation that, Nate is super authentic, and I just felt like he was trustworthy, and same thing with you. I feel like you guys are genuine. Otherwise, I honestly, I wouldn't move forward at all if I didn't get that feeling. And so I think that's what stood out more, was after we had these conversations, was I really felt like, okay, these guys they're good guys, and let's give it a go.
Nate, you're the man when you watch this, because he's definitely gonna watch this. And kind of just following up on that, like now that you're 2 months in, like what do you find has been like the most valuable for you, is like from like the program? Just like talk a little bit more about like the appointments and like the quality, especially today. I know you had like some pretty good outcomes today. So tell a little bit more audience about like the outcomes and the appointments that have been rolling in.
Yeah. So my fear in the beginning was that, like, you're going to give me how many appointments, and, they're all going to be producing people that are open to a new lender relationship. And I was very skeptical about that. I thought, I'm going to get people that maybe haven't done a deal in 2 years, or just hobby real estate agents or whatever. And that isn't the case. I have an app on my phone that tells me, maybe most people have access to these numbers too, but it tells me the numbers that an agent does. And so prior to each phone call, I look them up. Usually they have a web page or whatever, and then I look them up on my app and kind of see what their production was for the prior 12 months. And everybody's done. Nobody's been skunked. Like, everybody has done a couple $1 million worth of business over the last year or so. And the great thing about the app that I have, it tells me who their lender was. So if it shows that they have done a nice even split from a bunch of other lenders, then I know that they don't have somebody they work closely with. And opposite of that, if they've done 7 or 8 deals with a particular lender, then I know I have that to overcome and I can speak to it, and make that part of the conversation that we have. And I maybe come at that from a different tactic. Instead of saying, hey, I want to be your guy, I might say, hey, I know you have a guy or a gal, and I'd just like you to feather me in and be another option. Let's talk about that. And it just it's a good conversation to have. So I guess maybe that's a best practice, and doesn't exactly answer your question, but the upshot of it is that these people are all producers, and they all are doing business, and they're all trying to do the same thing that we're trying to do, which is create more connections and get more business. And so the people that I actually went to lunch today with an appointment that you all set up for me a couple weeks ago. Spoke to the guy over the phone. Turns out he has a couple partners that he does business with, and so they live about an hour and a half away, and we met halfway, had a great lunch. They're awesome. I was telling you earlier, I feel like we're pals already, and so I really feel like that's going to be a relationship that's going to net me some business. And it was 1 for 3, right? And so or 3 for 1. And so I got a deal on Friday, lunch on Friday, with another appointment from last week, and I've gone to lunch maybe 4 or 5 times over the last, let's say, month and a half, with people that I've had phone calls with, and it's not everybody is just sitting on a deal ready to give you a referral right away, but I feel like those are, that's on us to nurture those relationships, and those deals will come.
Nice. And you mentioned you had a referral as well, right? Someone that sent something over to you.
Yeah, I did get a referral a week and a half ago from a gal, and I don't know if it's going to pan out or not. It hasn't panned out yet, but yeah, I mean, it's just activity, and it gives an opportunity to continue having a conversation with those people, those brokers, and it's also energizing, right? So makes you go, oh, I have to call this person, and I should send an email to these people too. And I had a great talk with this person last week. Let's make sure we follow up with them. And I think that the follow-up is probably the most key part on this, because you'll be surprised at the number of appointments. I'll just say I was surprised at the number of appointments I was getting, and I wasn't really prepared with how ready I needed to be to have a very good follow-up program. So if you have a CRM, that's great. If you don't, then you better have a spreadsheet ready to go to put people's names and emails into, and be ready to nurture those relationships and those appointments that you're getting, because they're like gold. And just because you're getting a bunch of them doesn't mean they're any less gold. It just means that now you got a whole bunch of gold, and you got to make sure that you take good care of it.
Yeah, I've noticed that with all of our successful clients is their attention to the follow-up. It's like not just having like that initial meeting and they just like kind of let them go and like never to be heard from again, just kind of expecting it. Is they take that extra time, like you said, like it's a relationship, really like nurturing that person and building it up so that it can like, give you some fruits. So that's really good that you're doing it. Like you're really paying attention to the details and doing, the things necessary to get those deals. So that's awesome to see.
Yeah, because honestly, and everybody will say they know this, but in practice, you really have to do it. They'll say, of course, if you go to lunch with somebody and you have a great conversation, you got to follow up with them. But it's not just following up with them. It's really figuring out how you're going to nurture that relationship, and over a series of texts and emails and phone calls or whatever for the next, month or however long, until you decide if that is actually going to be a productive relationship for you or not, and then it kind of takes on its own life beyond that, as hopefully you start getting referred deals and interact with that person more. But prior to ever getting a referral from them, if somebody goes, yeah, I'm going to give you my next deal, and then you never follow up with them, they're not giving you their next deal. I guarantee it. They're going to give it to the next loan officer that they meet that followed up with them, and all that kind of thing.
Very true. Follow-up is so important. One of the things I always like to ask at the end, like, what would you say to, like, let's say someone who might be skeptical or someone who might be very hesitant, or really like in the position that you were back 2 months ago when you had first talked to us? like, what would you say to that person who's like thinking about moving forward and taking the leap of faith?
Yeah, I'd say that you guys, I couldn't tell you whether to do it or not, only whether it's the right move for you. But I would say you guys 100% delivered on what you said you would do. So, I paid X amount in order to get a particular result, and 100% got that, 110% got that. So much that I actually had to slow it down, right? So I didn't want to deal with all the appointments I was getting. I needed to make sure that it was manageable amount. And so you guys 100% delivered. So it's all you can, I think that's all you can ask for.
I really appreciate your kind words, really, like, and all the feedback you've given as well. You've been like an excellent client. And then I appreciate your time as well, because I'm sure you got a busy schedule. So I really appreciate you, taking the time of day, to give that feedback, to give like your honest thoughts about everything. And I'm so excited to see like where this is going to go, like in 4 months, at the end of your time with us, and doing possibly an update then to see where we've gone, the X amount of deals that we've gotten. So yeah, man.
Yeah, happy to.
Being a client and taking that leap of faith, and I'm truly glad, and I'm sure Nate is too, that
Yeah.
that you've seen those results, man.
Yeah,
Really.
our conversations go much better now than our first conversation did, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, way a lot more. Yeah, a lot better. Awesome. So once again, man, thank you for joining on, and I'll be sure to do a follow up on this as well and see where you've been in the next 4 months.
Sounds good.